Unravel a little bit of the warp string. Stick it in between the first notch you cut. Leave a little tail on the back side of your loom board, about a few inches long. Tape down the string. Pull the string upwards to meet the first notch you cut on the top of your loom board. Wrap the string around the back side of the board and pull it through the second notch you just cut. Continue this wrapping process until you reach the last notch you cut to the right side of your weaving loom board. Make sure not to pull the string so much that your weaving board curves. The string should lay flat on your board. It's okay if you accidentally mess up one of these. You can always go back and fix it. Here I started to pull my orange string a little bit too tight, so I was going back and forth, like fixing it until it laid flat. You need to fix it right now because you won't be able to fix it later when you continue weaving. After you reach the end, cut your warp string so the little tail hangs from the back side. Tape it down. Now you've got yourself a weaving loom. Yay! This is a plastic weaving needle. It'll help you move the yarn of your choosing through your warp threads. First, cut about an arm's length of yarn. You don't want to have a super long string or else it'll make your life harder when you try and weave. You're going to thread the yarn through the needle, pull it a few inches through, and fold it over the loop. Next, we're going to take our needle and start to carefully weave it in an under-over pattern. Just watch. Once you get to the end of your warp thread with your needle, you'll pull it all the way through, but stop until a few inches of your yarn is remaining on the left side of your loom. Pull, pull, pull. Leave a few inches. You're going to take a piece of tape and tape down that little tail that you left. It'd be best to tape it on the back side. Now you've got your first weft of weaving. Good job! Notice how the pattern goes in an under, over, under, over, under, over pattern. That's what you want. The weft yarn is now on my other side of my loom. I'm going to weave it back to the left side. This time I'm starting by putting my needle going over my warp thread. It's extremely important to pay attention when you start your new row, or else your weaving won't turn out properly. Continue the over-under pattern. try not to tie or pull through too hard, or else it's going to squeeze your warp threads together. See how I'm carefully tugging at it? For the third row, I'm going to start by going under my warp thread, just because I went over the warp thread in the previous row. Continue going in the over-under pattern. Pull the thread through, making sure not to tug too harshly. You can use a fork or a straight edge object to push down your weft threads. This makes your weaving tight knit. It would be a good idea to do this every row. Continue weaving until you run out of your yarn. When you start to near the end of your yarn, it's a good idea to weave it about an inch into your warp thread and leave a little tail hanging. I decided to pull my tail through the back side, and I'm just going to leave it there. We'll deal with this later once our weaving is done. You can pull it out of the way, tuck it back. Now you're ready to introduce a new color yarn into your weaving. Take about another arm's length of the yarn and thread it through your needle. Since I left my pink weft yarn on the back side, I'm going to put my new blue yarn coming from the front side. Weave your needle over and under and pull the yarn through the warp threads, leaving a small few inch tail. Remember, don't tug too harshly. Leave the tail there to hang out. You don't want to pull it all the way through because your weaving will come undone. Use a fork to put it down neatly. Continue the over-under pattern like you did before. And now you're a pro at weaving. Happy weaving!